Okay, what makes this a difficult problem, at least in my opinion, is there's a parameter a in it. Now, if there wasn't a parameter a in it, it wouldn't be that bad, but there's a parameter a in it. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to do is just factor the bottom. And it doesn't look that bad to do, and we'll check the key as we move along. Again, this is an optional problem. I realize it's difficult. So I would factor it, and what do you get over here? Well, factor by grouping. It's really not that bad. So let's put this down over here. It's 1, and then, it's going to be 1 times 1 plus x squared. And let's put the next thing down, and that's going to be what? I factor out an a squared, x squared from those two remaining terms, and you would get 1 plus x squared. Let's just check to see if that's true. You do get 1 plus x squared, x squared, and then you get a squared x4. Looks great. Does that factor? It does. And what does it factor to? Let's write this down. 1 over. Let's see. 1 plus x squared factors out from those two terms, and then you're left off with 1 plus a squared x squared. So things are working as advertised. I'll show you where this is in the key. This is right over here. All right, right over here. So I'm pretty comfortable I can get to that stage. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase all this stuff over here. I think I might be big eraser out. And let's talk about the next step in the process. The next step in the process is to write down, these are irreducible quadratics, to write down that this is going to go into two terms. And those two terms would be 1 plus a squared x squared. And then what are you going to get? 1 plus x squared over here. And then let's write down the top. They're going to be degree 1 polynomials. So I can put down ax plus b. And over here I'm going to put down cx plus d. Let me show you where that's written. And we're at this stage over here now. All right. Let me get my eraser out. And my big issue here now is to figure out what the big A is, the big B, the big C, and the big D, right? And again, that parameter makes it more difficult for most people to get through it. So what I want to write down is, I would probably clear both sides the fraction. And what would I get? I would get, let's be very careful. You're going to get 1. Again, we're multiplying this side by the LCD and this side by the LCD. And what do you get? You'd get A, big A, x plus b times 1 plus x squared plus, that's a cx plus d times 1 plus a squared x squared. Now, certainly in the past, I've been, selecting easy values for x and moving forward in that. Now I'm actually going to equate coefficients. And I'm going to do the constant first. And the constant in the problem is just the number 1. So 1 would have to equal, how do you get the constant on the right side? Well, looking at it, the only possibility there would be from the first term would be b, and from the second term, it would be d. So I know that that b plus d has to equal 1 now. All right, now what else do I know? I know just equating coefficients now. There is no x on the left side. So let me talk about how you get the x on the left side. And the way to get the x on the left side, just, looking at, the terms that would produce an x on the right side, it would come from a. That's from the first term, by the way, because ax times 1 is, ax. So the coefficient will be 1 there. And for the second one, it has to be c. Again, we did the constant. Now we just did the linear term, which is just a coefficient on the x. Now let's see if we can do the x squared thing. All right, and on the left side, there are no x squareds. Again, I'm equating coefficients over here. And what would you get there? Well, looking at it, to get the, again, this is the x squared term, you would get, let's see, that could be from the first guy, that could be b. That's bx squared, the first guy. And the second guy, it looks like, oh, this is more complicated, isn't it? It looks like plus for that square term would be what? It looks like d lowercase a squared. all right? So I did the constant, linear, quadratic. Let's go to cubic, all right? There are no cubics on the left side. Now, how do you get the cubic from the right side? That would be what? That would be A. And how about the cubic on the second term? That would be C A squared. So here comes my problem now. I got to figure this out. And looking at it, I think, let me get my little eraser out and erase these little check marks over here. Let me make the eraser a little bit smaller. And I'm going to look at, let me look at this guy over here. So I know that for this to be true, A would have to equal minus C. For this to be true, the B would have to be dA squared, the opposite of it. And for this to be true, A would have to be minus C A squared. Well, I think I can figure some things out here. And the reason I'm just kind of looking around and, you know, I'm trying to figure out the A, the B, the C, the D, and I think I can use this here and this here to figure something out now. So what's A equal to? A is actually equal to minus C. So you can get minus C equals minus C A squared. Well, let's write that a little differently. Let's write it as 0. This would be C minus C A squared. I'm going to factor the C out, and that would be C. And what would you give here? You would get 1 minus A squared. Now, by the way, A in general is some number. I mean, you could pick a number for A, by the way, but I'm trying to figure out what C is. And C clearly, one of the possible choices is C would be equal to 0. Now, if C is equal to 0, that means A is equal to 0. So I'm going to say that I kind of know a couple of things now. I know C and I know A is equal to 0. And that's really important because, you know, I got this now, and I'll write it down for you. I got B over 1 plus A squared x squared is equal to, well, again, the C is 0, so I get D over 1 plus x squared. Again, it's especially a more difficult problem, right? But this is an important fact now, right? Important fact. And so C equals 0, A equals 0. Now let's see if we can, you know, figure out what the B and the D, all right? And the way I'm going to do that is kind of look around, and I'm noticing, let me highlight it for you. I'm noticing, you know, this guy here and this guy over here. And let me see if I can plug that in now. So I'm going to say 1 equals, well, B is minus dA squared. When I say A, the lowercase a squared. I got that right here. Plus D. Well, it's more difficult to solve, isn't it? I'm trying to solve for D. So let's put this down. 1 equals D, I'm factoring it out, and that would be 1 minus lowercase a squared. So I know what D is now. And what's D going to be? Let me write this down. D is going to equal 1 over 1 minus a squared. Right, let me get my eraser out, and I'm going to erase that now. It's over here. By the way, I made a mistake in my notes, by the way. I'll correct this. That's a plus sign. And the D is 1 over 1 minus a squared. Erase it again. And we'll check with the key later. Okay. How do you figure out, and this is what the D is right over here. Let's see, we got A, we got C, we got D, but we don't have B. Let's write this down. What's B going to be equal to? B will be equal to, and again, we're using this over here, will be equal to 1 minus D. Well, it's 1 minus, what's D? It's 1 over 1 minus a squared. Well, I got to do that. And you got to common denominator 1 minus a squared. Let's see, 1 minus a squared minus 1 would be minus a squared. All right, let me write that down. And that's going to be, you know, I want to write that a little different. It looks strange to me. I'm going to write that as a squared over a squared minus 1, multiplying top and bottom by minus 1. Let's write that down, and I'm going to look at the key now. Let's look at the key. Let's see how we did. Were we able to get what we wanted to get? Let's take a look. Did I get this? Oh, you know what? I noticed I made a U there, and I'll correct this over here. This is an X, and this is an X over here. Sorry, but I'll correct that. And did I get the second guy? Yeah, we did all right. Was this difficult? Yeah, I think it is. We got the B. We got the A. We got the C. And we got the D. We got everything we need. And we got this in the end. This was tough, all right? I will correct the notes. You're not going to see the U there, all right? Just a simple reminder for you. My name is Ron Bannon. I'm sure that you're probably a student in my class, and if you are and you need to reach out for help, please come by. We're here to help. For those people watching these YouTube videos that are not my students, though, they can still reach out to me at this email address. That's B as in boy, the @ symbol, NNON.US, and I'll try to help. Thank you so much.